Hi Sondangle. Today we are going to talk about a topic many people are worried about right now, H1B alternatives. Every year many professionals try for H1B visa lottery but not everyone gets selected. If H1B doesn't work out, what's other immigration option available? To discuss this, I'm joined by Gabriela Urizar, an immigration attorney at Manifest Law with almost a decade of experience handling business immigration, work visa and talent visas. Thank you so much for joining us today, Gabriela. Would you like to add anything to the introduction I just gave?
Thank you so much for having me, and I think you have it perfectly.
Okay. So my first question is if someone does not get selected in H1B lottery, and what are the most realistic visa alternatives available for them right now?
Sure, and I think that question also goes back to even if you potentially get selected, it's important for people to have options, but specifically here is a question that's very common, right? They want to know what happens. Is all the hope lost because they didn't get selected? And it's not necessarily true, right? They do have options. Some of the visas that are very popular for people that could potentially qualify for an H1B are H1 visas, which are for individuals that can prove that they're at the top of their field, and you can be sponsored by an agent or an employer. You also have an L1, which is also a very good visa, but it requires for people to go abroad to the outside of the US for a full year and then come back, but it has amazing benefits. If a student is willing to, let's say, go to London for a year and then come back, a great option. And this is the next one is my favorite visa, actually. For some reason, it seems like people don't know about it. It's the H1B cap exempt. And this one is, the requirements are very similar to the H1B. The difference is that you're not required to go on the lottery and you can start working as soon as it gets approved. Like, you don't have to wait for October 1st, which is the start of the calendar year for USCIS. The only thing is that the employer sponsoring you for this type of H1B has to be a specific employer, right? Like either a university or nonprofit or an organization that's engaged in research. So very important to keep that in mind. And then, of course, we have the F1, which is for people that want to continue keeping their valid status and also studying in the US, and also the permanent residency visas where people can self-sponsor. They don't have to rely on an employer like the EB1 or the EB2 national interest waiver.
Okay, so just like you said now, many people hear about the O1 visa. Who actually qualifies for O1 visa? Like what counts as an extraordinary ability? And I believe that is the fastest path. And whether software engineers or tech workers can qualify for that?
Yes. So the O1 visa, like you said, is a great visa. And it's actually, if you plan strategically, especially from the start when you're a student and you make choices that position you in a good place, this could be a great alternative. For the O1, it's for people that can demonstrate extraordinary ability. And sometimes people hear this and they get scared. They think they have to be Einstein, right? Or win a Nobel Peace Prize or something like that. But that's not the requirement. The requirement is actually USCIS looks at whether this person has risen at the top of their field. And some of the evidence is maybe you receive awards for a software that you develop or a company that you started. Maybe you have publications or media coverage about your work. Maybe you command a high salary. Maybe you serve as a judge, right, in a competition or maybe in a hackathon or a conference of technology. And maybe you're holding now or have held in the past a critical or a leading role in an organization that's distinguished or has a good reputation. So yes, software engineers and people in technology can totally qualify for an O1, and we see it at the firm all the time. With the right structure, they can position themselves to show that the work that they've done places them at the top of their field.
Okay, I mean, basically, just we don't want to scare people just by hearing the word extraordinary ability. You could already be eligible for it, so it's better to consult an immigration attorney. In this case, Manifest Law helps you to see how you actually fit in. And also, some companies suggest going to Canada and returning on L1 visa later. Is this a real strategy or is just like a myth?
This could actually be a really good strategy, but you have to make sure that certain circumstances are met, right? Like I said before, the L1 is a great visa for people that are being hired in companies that have entities abroad, but you have to establish that there is a relationship, a valid relationship between the US entity and the entity abroad. So it's not just for Canada. Like we have companies, especially in technology, that have branches in London, branches in Paris, branches in Latin America. You could go to another country, do a full year in either a manager role or a specialized technical role, and then be transferred back to the US with a brand new L1. And the good thing about the L1 is that it's a dual intent visa, which means that as soon as you put foot in the US, when you come back, you can start concurrently and parallel to that L1, your green card application.
Thank you. So can someone change from H1B to a student visa and continue staying in the US?
This is a real strategy. There's many people that do that, especially when they don't get selected. They have the ability to change status back into F1 and they don't have to depart the country. They can file a change of status within the US. I think what's important, especially for students right now exploring their options, is to make sure that they're enrolling in a program that's authentic, right? Because there are some institutions that are selling themselves as an academic program, but they're not authentic. It is just for the purposes of immigration. And USCIS has caught up on this, and they are very strict about this. So very important to find an authentic program. Also obtaining an I-20 from a valid university or academic program, and filing a change of status properly before your current status expires. And the good thing about F1 is that some programs can give you the ability to work, right? Either on campus or outside of campus or after graduation. So it's a good option for people that want to keep trying for the H1B lottery. And again, right, like I recommend people not to start looking or exploring these options after they don't get selected. They should be doing this before they even apply to the lottery.
The important point is authentic universities. Mm-hmm. Thank you. So, I mean, you also spoke about this one, and some people are talking about the EB2 NIW option. Can someone apply for a green card without employer sponsorship, like a EB2 national interest waiver? Who qualifies? Like, whether tech professional actually qualify for that?
This is a really good question, because I know that some students don't want to leave their whole future and career in the hands of an employer that might or might not sponsor them, right? Like we saw it this year and last year with all these technology giants doing these massive layoffs and just putting people on the limbo. And what we're seeing, immigration attorneys, the trend that we're seeing, especially last year and this year, is that a lot of these professionals are taking the power back, right? So they're exploring visas where they can self-sponsor. They don't need an employer, like the EB1, but also the EB2 national interest waiver. So the national interest waiver is very interesting, especially when it comes to technology, because technology is a field that this administration and this government cares about. And I recommend people who are thinking of building their profile for an EB2 to go to the government's, the president's or the White House or the administration's website and take a look at the executive orders that the president has issued since he took possession of the government. Many of them are in relations to AI, technology, advancing technological advances for different industries. So you can actually take a look at what this government cares about and start building your career around this, right? So to be able to qualify for an EB2 NIW, you need to show that you are pursuing a field that is of national interest, that you are well positioned to advance that national interest, meaning you have the right credentials, right education, you have been doing this type of work, and also that it is of benefit for the US to waive the perm labor certification, which we know can take up to 2 years or even longer than that. So a good argument that I've seen my clients make, especially in technology, is that they don't have 2-3 years to go through the perm process. Like their jobs and the industry they're working on, and we see this with AI a lot, requires them to be physically present on either the data centers or the manufacturing entities, or if they're working in agriculture. And just to keep in mind, right, that it has to be in a field that the US cares about, but you don't have to show the same requirements that you have to show for an O1 or an EB1, right? Like you don't have to show publications, you don't have to show media attention, It's all about the field and if the US cares about the field.
If someone doesn't qualify for O1 or they are in the right field, which is like beneficial to US, so they can actually pursue EB2 NIW. Is that correct?
Exactly, you have the right point. Someone that perhaps hasn't received awards, that doesn't have a lot of attention on their work, but they're actually working on cybersecurity or AI or medical research, they can actually qualify for an EB2. They don't need all the requirements that you need for the O1 or the EB1.
Okay, thank you. So what mistakes do people make when trying alternative visas after failing the H1B lottery? Like, I know like you should avoid fake consultancies, avoid risky strategies. What mistake you think people are making?
I think that one of the biggest mistakes that I see is that they rely 100% on the lottery. They have OPT, and some of them even have STEM OPT. So they have over 2 years of work permit, and they waste those 2-3 years on applying to the lottery, and not exploring other avenues from day one. So that is the biggest mistake. Another mistake that I see people making is that they enroll on a program, an academic program that doesn't qualify, just to keep the status. And again, like I said before, USCIS is really cracking down on this. Another big mistake is that they rely on guidance or information from people that are not licensed attorneys, right? So if it sounds too good to be true, it's probably not the right choice. So that's why it's important to speak to an attorney that has a license, right? That's legally and ethically bound to tell you the truth and to have your best interest in mind.
So basically, you have to start early. Don't wait for until the last year and then explore all these options. So, I mean, if you were advising a young tech professional today, what would be your long-term immigration strategy?
I will tell them to start from day one, literally from the first day that they start their university program, and to also think of a 5 to 10 year plan. Once they have this in mind, to start building their profile, like their professional profile. Even if they get selected, right, it doesn't affect them for them to have publications, for them to have visibility into the type of work they're doing, for them to position themselves as the trusted experts, for them to start exploring and educating themselves about other type of visas or immigration pathways, not to place their entire future on an employer that might or might not sponsor them, right? To take more ownership, to start exploring global careers. Like I said, Canada, Europe has amazing opportunities. You can go there for a year and then come into the US, but basically to diversify their options and explore the different options.
Thank you, Gabriela. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.